Okay. This is not a normal stream. This is getting a little bit serious today, and I apologize for anyone that was expecting the usual Trove antics for Friday, and I am earlier than my normal time, but I had to get this going. Yesterday in my community, there was a pretty awful tragedy that occurred, and me and my wife have been particularly affected by it, and I'm going to get into the bones of the story in a moment, but I need to apologize ahead of time that this is not going to be easy for me to do. One of my wife's ex-students, old students, murdered 5 people yesterday. 3 of them were his family members, and 2 of them were random people that he came in contact with while he was doing this. And one of the people that he shot and killed was an old student of mine as well. Not just my wife's student in 6th grade, but I taught a PE class for a year at the school. And he shot his mother, he shot his stepfather, he shot a guy that picked him up as a hitchhiker to steal his truck, and he shot another random individual at a gas station that we frequent, actually. And there's a lot of people out there that want to label him as evil. There are a lot of people that want to hang him, string him up from a tree for what he did. And I'm not excusing his behavior.
No, he deserves the punishment.
He does. And that's my wife. She'll be chiming in here and there. He wasn't an evil kid. He's not an evil kid. He made some very bad choices. He didn't deal with his anger very well, obviously. There is no excuse. None. Not a single excuse for what he did. And it's easy to just look at the whole story and go, you know, he's evil and he should rot in jail. They should execute him. It's easy to just look at the story from the outside and judge him based on 5 very bad decisions. Hey Waystrin, how's it going? I apologize again for the lack of levity in my stream today, but we had a very tragic incident happen in my community yesterday, and my family was directly touched by it because we knew the kid that committed the crimes, and we knew one of the kids that his brother that he shot was one of my students, one of my wife's students. The kid that committed the crime was also one of my wife's students back in 6th grade, 6-8 years ago. And it's easy to look at the story and just judge him based on one day of really bad decisions. But this was a kid that nobody thought had this in him. And there has to be more to the story. There has to be. I don't know if it was drugs. I don't know if it was mental illness. I don't know. We don't know. But there are a lot of people out there that want to paint him as evil. And I will say this, that before yesterday, I was one of those people. I'd see a story like this on the news, and that, from another state or from another part of the world, and I'd think, wow, what a hideous person, what a horrible individual that would do something like that. Hang him. But I knew this kid. And he just was not. He didn't wake up yesterday morning and go, you know what, I'm gonna slaughter 5 people today. That didn't happen. That doesn't happen. People don't just wake up one morning and do this. There has to be more to the story. And I, for one, from now on, when I read a story like this, I'm going to pause. And while it doesn't make it any easier for the victims, doesn't make it any easier for the people left to grieve.
And we're such a small community, it touched everybody.
Yep. Everybody knew these people. Yeah. Cause and effect. Indeed. I didn't even realize. I wasn't even thinking about the shirt that I was wearing, but yeah, it does. Something happened that made him snap. Something happened that brought him to a point where frustration and anger overruled rationality. And he lashed out. And unfortunately, for a lot of people like that, once it's begun, stopping it is impossible. And I'm not going to make this a political thing. I'm going to say that right now. I'm not going to make this a political thing. But no matter what side of an argument you're on, pause and think about the other one for a minute. Because we don't like to address mental illness in this country. We don't like to address addiction in this country and the things that it can do.
We'd rather just think that those are bad and evil people.
Mm-hmm. It's easier to label evil. It's easier to go, that person deserves to rot for the rest of their lives in jail. It's easier to judge an individual for their actions rather than figure out why they did it. A lot of things could have happened, lots of things, and he didn't know what else to do. Indeed, that is it. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, you can look at a person and see this when inside they're tormented like that. And it's an awful thing that we do not take mental illness and or addiction seriously here. And we've got a lot of people who are trying like hell to keep our medical community from treating it. It's easier to throw them in jail. And not too long ago in this country, we used to deal with people like this by throwing them in cages, spraying them with hoses, electroshock therapy, barbaric shit, but barbaric shit that we used to do to people like this, people like me. We're just now getting on the road to believing as a society that mental illness is not a cop-out.
It's just that. It's an illness.
we're just now getting to a point in this country where addiction is being looked at as not necessarily a choice. Again, this does not excuse the actions. Does not excuse it. The people that are dead did not deserve to die. But that doesn't mean that we hang him.
He deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life. He deserves it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what's so hurtful. Because I knew him as a little kid. And he was a nice kid.
He was.
He was a good kid. Wasn't a kid who ever got in trouble. He was gregarious and happy. And both of them were. Both the brothers were.
Yep. And like Fuzz says, and now it's too late. It's too late to get him the help he needed ages ago. Yeah. And unfortunately, that brings up a further problem in our society, that jail doesn't fix anything. The only thing it does is teaches a person how to be a better criminal. Makes him angry. Doesn't help anything. And he's going to get thrown in jail with other violent people. Other people who spent years and years being tormented in their own mind or by other people or both. And now he's going to be in jail with the rest of them. And what's it solving for any of them? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's not getting at the root of the problem. Throwing him in jail, yeah, he deserves to be in jail. He murdered 5 people.
And took his own life in the process.
And, figuratively took his own life in the process, because he ain't ever getting out.
I don't believe he's ever getting out.
No. If he were a minor, maybe. But he's not.
Or rich.
Yeah. And it's people do not just wake up one morning and decide to do this. This isn't something that, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, he was in a great mood and everything was fine, and then he woke up Thursday morning and just, I need to murder 5 people in cold blood. Didn't happen. There was something leading up to it. And unfortunately, people with mental illnesses or addictions are usually afraid, terrified even, of people discovering it. And so they'll hide it, suppress it, bury it.
But if there wasn't such a stigma to each of those things in the country, then they could go get the help.
Indeed.
But if it was drugs, maybe that would have made him not. I mean, you've seen Dr. Phil. Some of those people the drugs make them think they don't want help.
Yep. Indeed. And Hephaestus brings up another good point. If I can stop trembling here and scroll this. With the monetizing of our prison system, there's even less incentive to provide help to those incarcerated. Agreed. Yep. Absolutely. And it doesn't help anything. Granted it was one day, but I've experienced it. And no, the only thing that jail provides you is an extreme feeling of being cornered, a feeling of being trapped, because you are. They take away all of your dignity, and that is immediate. Absolutely immediate that happens. It is. You walk into the place and within seconds your dignity is gone. And I'm not saying that people deserve to be...
But they're not there because they were loved and happy people.
Right. People don't go to jail because they had great upbringings with positive role models and opportunities to advance themselves and things like that. No, they're in jail because they were
Mishandled.
up to here, mishandled. Indeed, well said. And it's pathetic that I read comments about this story this morning that really just pissed me off. To sum up, Robert, welcome. To sum up what's going on, there was a tragedy in my community yesterday. A former student of my wife's shot and killed 5 people in cold blood. And it started as a domestic dispute and just mushroom clouded from there. Normally I would be streaming Trove and having a good time and laughing, but today is not a day I can do that. One of the people that he shot and killed was his younger stepbrother.
No, his brother.
Brother. The family is very extended, and there's a lot of steps, and there's a lot of it. But he shot his younger brother, and he was one of my students. Go ahead and put the link up to the article, because that's. I don't want to, I don't want to go into too many details that aren't in the article. Just for, I don't want to get I don't want to get myself in trouble or anger anybody by giving details that have not yet been published in the news, because, it's a small community, so this affected all of us. And, it's rough.
Tragic.
Very. And,
Seeing as we just lost another student last month.
Yep.
Due to a heroin overdose.
Yep.
We're just losing a kid a month, and it's too much.
Yep.
It's devastating.
Very. And I figured I'd use my platform here to just. Like I was saying earlier, and just to recap it, with this situation hitting so incredibly close to home, I up until yesterday was one of those people that would read a story like this in the news and think, oh, what an evil bastard, he deserves to rot in jail for the rest of his life, and I just pass judgment on a person just like that. Well, now something has hit close to home, and it has changed my perspective on things, because I knew this kid. And he always had a smile on his face. He was always happy, and
he was personable, outgoing.
He didn't hide in a corner, and anybody that would have looked at him wouldn't have known. It wouldn't have been able to tell.
He was probably one of the last kids I would have ever thought.
I mean, there were other kids in that school that you'd look at them and go, well, maybe. I mean, there's always one. There's always a student that sits in the corner real quiet like, that kind of worry about, I was that student. But that.
And in any group of people, there's people you look at and go, yeah.
That person might have some problems they're hiding, but that's the point. Look at the people around you. And really look at the people around you. And if you see somebody if you see somebody that is obviously hurting, or maybe not even obviously hurting, if you think they're hurting, talk to them. Because you never know.
And smile at people.
Yeah.
Because you never know when somebody is hurting, and that one smile that day might make the difference.
Yep.
Be kind to everybody, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know their story. Be kind, be understanding, be patient, because you don't know. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know what miles they've walked. Whether they even had shoes. or love, you
Mhm.
kindness and patience and dignity.
Indeed. And if God forbid you're the person hiding it, talk to someone before you do something stupid. Like Damian did. Stupid. Sorry. Still a little too close to home.
And can you imagine what the family's going through? God.
And that for the people who were directly affected by this, more directly than we were. Um, Obviously, our deepest sympathies.
And then there's the witnesses who were traumatized.
Yeah, a lot of people saw this as well, and I can't go into details about that but we
Well,
know
but
of
there's
people who were.
I mean, it was at a gas station. There were a lot of people
Yeah.
who saw things
Yeah.
happen and were traumatized by it.
Yep. And
And the family of the random 2 people that were killed.
Yep.
It touched their families and their co-workers and their people who had nothing to do with whatever was going wrong.
Yep. And
Traumatized.
in the outside, it also probably scared the hell out of 2 communities, 2 cities that were seeing all of their police officers leaving in droves. That had to be. I mean, we went out.
Well, we were out running errands all day,
grocery
and saw
shopping,
police everywhere.
and there were cops everywhere. Oh my God! And we were starting to wonder what we even questioned, who are they looking for? Because
never thinking that it would be somebody we knew.
yeah, and never thinking that it would be somebody that we knew, and never thinking of why. But now I'm going to think about it. And hopefully anybody that watches this will too, because there's always a deeper part of the story. There's always more to it. And at the end of the day, people don't just wake up and do this. There's something there. There's a trigger. There's a reason that people do this. It doesn't excuse the actions. I want to make absolutely clear.
Oh no, he's a criminal.
He's a criminal. He
He's a
deserves
murderer.
to be locked up.
He deserves punishment for this.
He deserves to be punished, indeed. However, if we just punish people that do this stuff and we don't find out why, there's going to be another person that's going to do it again tomorrow. And the day after that, and after that, and after that. And if we do not help the people that are in a position that are going to do this kind of thing, there's going to be more and more and more and more of it. And it's never going to end, because we're not solving the problem by just coming in after the fact and zipping up the body bags and throwing people in jail. It's not solving a damn thing. And I hate to get on a soapbox and do all this crap, and I'm again not making it political, but we need better societal response to addiction and mental illness, because this stuff is going to keep happening unless we do something about it. And obviously our society, our government, whatever, isn't looking at it enough. So we have to do it. So if you see somebody out there that just seems to be in a pit, or they're addicted to some junk, do what you can to get them some help. Because God forbid you be on the other end of this tragedy the next time that it happens, or one of your loved ones. There's no reason for it. Oh, we got another article. Okay, that didn't... Let me see. Hang on. Oop. Okay, Hephaestus sent me a link with the police report, so I'm going to go and take a look at this. And yep. I knew this kid. I know this kid.
God, I hate to see his face.
I don't like seeing the picture of him either. Yeah, this article has a lot more to it. I'm gonna throw it at you too here. Just don't read the comments. I read comments on another one this morning that pissed me off.
And it's hard. It's hard. I'm mad at him.
I am very angry at him. I am very angry at him. Very, very, very angry. Because it was avoidable. He didn't have to react to his anger this way. And we need to be teaching people how to better deal with their frustration, their addictions, their mental problems. It needs to be not a taboo subject. It needs to be a subject that we drag out into the street and beat the shit out of it.
Calm
Hmm? So there it is. That's what I got. And I suppose to wrap all this stuff up, our sympathies go out to every person that was directly affected by this horrible, horrible thing. And we hope that the road to recovery and getting some closure with this incident comes quickly, even though I know that is not the case. Indeed, well said. Be more kind to one another.
Yeah. And today, go out and spend some time with the people you appreciate.
Yeah.
Your friends, siblings, parents.
I mean, if you can't meet with people in person, call them, send them an email, check in on your friends, your family, somebody you haven't seen in a while or whatever. Call them, make sure they're doing okay.
And
you never know.
Check in on yourself.
And check in on yourself. Yeah, have somebody else call you too, because you never know.
And do something good for yourself today.
And revel in the fact that we're all here and breathing still, and keep it that way. And I mean, I hate to put this in such a grim light, but go out and tell your friends and family that you appreciate them, that you love them, because you never know. They could be pumping gas at a gas station when some individual out of their mind starts throwing bullets. You never know. And because of that fact, because that's the world that we live in today, go out and tell all of your friends and family that you appreciate them. Because you never know.
And I'll start here. I appreciate all of you guys always hanging out with Market and making him feel good. You guys don't know how much happiness you bring into his life. It really, and into mine, because the happier he is, the happier his wife is. And you guys help make that happen, and I appreciate all of you. Even the side chick, Fuzz. Even the side chick.
Yeah. What she said. So, today, we'll get back to the regular nonsense on Monday, but for today and going into this weekend, again, go and tell all of your friends and family how much you appreciate them, and that if they have any problems, they have anything that they need to talk about, listen. Just listen and tell them that you'll listen. Because maybe if somebody had walked into his life day before yesterday morning, and said, dude, you look upset. What's wrong? Maybe 5 people wouldn't be getting buried this week. Maybe a 6th person wouldn't have just flushed his life down the toilet because he could not deal with his anger. Next time you sense yourself getting mad, take a deep breath. Calm down. Try to look at things rationally. Try to understand what's pissing you off. Deal with it. Rationalize it. Find someone to help you deal with it. Because what Damian did is inexcusable and 100% avoidable. That's it. That's all I got. And today, you park on my lawn as long as you damn well please. Thanks.